Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It's Saturday, January 20th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Andrew McGinnis for this Saturday card. We're down two people today, unfortunately. Alex B. Smith having tech issues. I'm telling you what, between Alex's worst enemies right now, without a doubt, are bouts of nausea and faulty defective USB ports. There's no question about that. They've caused him a lot of grief this week, but he'll hopefully be back with us next show. Dana Lane is traveling, actually. He's out of town. I believe he's following the UNLV hockey team because they're on the road and he's the play-by-play guy. I don't know if any of you guys knew that, but Dana Lane is UNLV hockey play-by-play for them. So he's on the road traveling with that team. So, and his computer that he was using not working properly. So it's just Andrew and I today talking this Saturday card, but that's okay. We'll get through it. I'll tell you what, right now, this is one of my favorite cards of the year today, taking place in the NHL. I don't usually let the number of games dictate how many bets I have on a daily basis. It's got nothing to do with that. I don't have a plan where I say, okay, I'm only betting 2 games today. Oh, I'm only betting 1 game today. I let the card dictate that. It's all about the matchup, the price, the opportunity, the spot, the schedule, whatever the case may be. This is just one of those days that for me, I ended up on 6 or 7 bets today on this card. I mean, it is really that good of a card in my opinion. That many quality opportunities out there. Teams coming off their break today as well. There's some good situations with that. Facing teams that are playing their normal routine. We know how good that angle has been, 24-11 to that tune, that winning clip over the last 2 seasons combined. So those are some situations that I'm looking to take advantage of. Just overall, a very good Saturday card, lots of opportunities. So let's get right down to business and start talking about them. At the top of the card, we've got an early puck drop, 105 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Dallas, Buffalo, 1-2 on the rotation. We got Dallas, as you would expect, a pretty hefty road favorite, minus 160, total 5.5 in this hockey game. Pretty much even money across the board. Buffalo Sabres, competitive effort in defeat last time, but that's been the rule, not the exception for the Buffalo Sabres. When they lose games, even when they're competitive, can't find a way in a lot of situations to close the deal and get in the win column. The offense was fine. I mean, they got some good contributions there, but fall 4-3 to the New York Rangers last time out, battling some key injuries on the blue line. Nathan Beaulieu, who's had a pretty decent season for the Buffalo Sabres, is out. Zach Bogosian, who's one of those reliable, stay-at-home, take-care-of-your-own zone type of defenseman. He's not playing as well for the Sabres, so they're battling that. And you can see they're battling that because in terms of goals allowed, it's not been good for the Buffalo Sabres lately. During their current 1-6 slide over their last 7 games, they've given up 4 or more goals in 5 of those 7 games. So keeping the puck out of their own net right now is an issue for the Buffalo Sabres. Dallas, on the other hand, coming off a shootout loss at Columbus, 2-1 the other night. A game that people probably deserved to win. I thought they had the better, higher quality scoring chances. They had more puck possession. They had 10 more shots on goal than Columbus in that game. But Bobrovsky was very, very good in net for Columbus and prevails in a shootout over Dallas. So Dallas is playing fine. I like the way Dallas is keeping those shots down. The last 2 games, Columbus, Detroit, they give up 41 shots combined in those 2 games. That's barely over 20 per game. I think it's a good situation here for Dallas to bounce back. Of course, I would only look at the puck line, minus 1.5 goals. It's too heavy on the money line to get involved. I don't lay more than minus 150, but I do think Dallas bounces back. And then you look at Dallas off a loss. Just in the short term, they're 3-0, last 3 tries in games following a loss. That's the spot for them here today against this Buffalo team. So I'm not interested in Buffalo. It would be Dallas, preferably on the puck line if I get involved. Just a lean there. This is not one of my official plays, but if I give out a lean, it'll be Dallas on the puck line. Maybe a slight lean over the total as well, but just leans there to the puck line on Dallas and over 5.5. New Jersey, Philly, 3-4 on the rotation. Another 1:05 p.m. Eastern early start puck drop, so make sure you're aware of that. Philadelphia minus 125 home favorite, total 5.5, pretty much across the board. You got the New Jersey Devils off a nice win against Washington in their last game, 4-3 in overtime. Taylor Hall scores the overtime winner, catching Washington in that first game after their 5-day break. Again, another ticket casher, I guess you could say, for teams in that situation, as New Jersey was in that hockey game. So good win for them. Now they take on Philadelphia, who did not allow a loss to get into a losing streak as they roared back. I mean, stormed back in the third period from a 2-0 deficit to beat Toronto 3-2 in overtime. I was worried that that New York Ranger loss early in the week, which snapped a 4-game winning streak for the Flyers, that would send them in the tank again, because I mentioned this is as streaky a team as it gets. But they ended the losing streak at a very minute one game in that bounce back win against Toronto in overtime the other night. So good signs there from Philly. They got right back in the saddle and got the job done, and they really dominated the Leafs in the third period. I mean, they took the play to them. They were all over the Leafs in their own in the offensive zone. So it was a good performance there. And then you look at this New Jersey team now, 2 wins in a row for them this week, Islanders and Washington. So tough from a side perspective to get involved here. I mean, you got Philly that's won 5 of their last 6. New Jersey's won 2 in a row. 2 teams trending in the good direction right now. Again, this New Jersey team is scoring goals as well. They've scored 3 or more in 5 straight games, and Philadelphia has scored 3 or more in every win during their current 5-1 swatch. So you got 2 teams putting the puck in the net. Probably a game I'd have to lean over as well here, 5.5. In this hockey game between the Devils and the Flyers. Andrew McGinnis, this is one of his games on the Saturday card, Devils and Flyers. Andrew, good morning to you. What are you looking at in this game here?
Yeah, good morning, Ian. I think it's just one of those funny things here, Ian, because as of late, I've really been trying to stay against and stay off these afternoon games. I mean, total swung over. It really bit me a couple times. I've got under times. Something about these afternoon games being the go under, and I think you guys start taking that very seriously. You know, time Dana always says the psychology of the handicap talk. Teams aren't used to certain things. The schedules are off. This is a game that's the puck's dropping at 1 p.m. Eastern, so I think teams will be a little bit shaken off by that. But when it comes down to it, I'm not going to hide away from the way these 2 teams have been looking, and that's why I'm still going to go with the over in this one. Despite the early start, look, New Jersey, a total's gone over in 4 of New Jersey's last 5 games. Washington, uh, their New Jersey's last game against Washington, 4-3. An excellent game for them as well, but again, Washington kind of made it look easy to score on them as well. I look at the Islanders, they had 4-1 easy win against them. Then back on the 13th, 5-3 loss to Philly again. So look, I think this is an easy over game. I think Philadelphia has been improving. The second half will be a lot better for Philly. I think less streaky, and New Jersey continues to put up goals. So I think this is an easy over pick for me as well.
All right, that's an official play, over 5.5, Devils and Flyers. Yeah, I mean, the daytime uh, early start sometimes does worry you. There's no question in terms of that. Let me just actually bring that up, because I've got a way I can find out what's these teams over. You know what? New Jersey's 3-0 to the over in afternoon games and day games. So there you go. New Jersey's 3-0 to the over in day games. Philly's 3-3. So there you go. 6-3 combined for these 2 teams when playing in the afternoon. So Andrew's trying to talk. Can't hear him though. Andrew, we got to get something done with your mic. Your mic's been fritzy for like a week, if not
Sorry about that.
longer.
Yeah, no, I was just
There you
saying,
go.
4 of the last 5 have gone over, and 6 of the last 8 Philadelphia have gone over, and 4 of Philly's last 6 at home have gone over. So, I mean, we do have some stats behind us, Ian.
Yeah, no question. Those daytime stats. I'm gonna actually go ahead and bet this thing now that I see that. But that means that puts my mind at ease a little bit. Again, both of these teams are in offensive form. I've already got enough bets on this card, but why not one more? We've already got a ton as it is. What's one more? Over 5.5 here, New Jersey, Philly. Andrew and I will both be on that one. Next game, Rangers, Colorado, 5-6 on the rotation. We got Colorado -120 to -125 home favorite. Total 6 shaded to the under. This is one of my bets on this card, and I like it quite a bit. One of my favorite bets on this card. I cashed a ticket on Thursday night with Colorado in that 5-3 win against San Jose, and I'm keeping on that Colorado train this afternoon. I'll lay the -118 that I see out there at Heritage Sports, a nice price. Again, SBRodds.com. Make sure you use that to shop around for the best price available. Absolutely will ride Colorado one more time. This team is playing phenomenal hockey. You can say all you want about how Jonathan Bernier has been frustrating in years past. Right now, he's not. Right now, he's comfortable. He's confident. He's playing well in the net for Colorado. He's seeing the puck well. And when Bernier's in a zone like this, you ride it. And then when Bernier starts to cool off and hit the skids, that's when you fade him. He's a streaky goalie like that. And right now, he's on the good side of that streak. And this Colorado team now, what is it? 8 wins in a row for them. They've been fantastic. And Nathan MacKinnon, 2 more goals the other night for him? in that win against San Jose. He's just been an absolute pillar of strength for this Colorado team. He's absolutely led the way, been a true leader on and off the ice. Really, since Matt Duchene was traded, it's really felt like his team, Nathan MacKinnon, and he's played like it. He has responded to that challenge that, okay, this is my team now. And boy, has he ever thrived with it. He's been absolutely fantastic. What's he on? He's on a tremendous point streak right now. 44 points in 25 home games this year for Nathan MacKinnon. That's insane. 17 goals, 27 assists in 25 home games. That is absolutely remarkable. You know, he's got 7 goals and 10 assists in his last 8 games. So that's 17 points. 17 points for Nathan MacKinnon in his last 8 games. That's unbelievable stuff from him. It's just absolutely ripping it up for this team right now in terms of offense. And I think it's going to continue here. This New York Rangers team, very, very up and down, very erratic. I don't trust them game to game. They have won 2 in a row. They beat Philadelphia. They beat Buffalo 5-1, 4-3. They've actually gone over the total in every game, 4-0 to the over, the Rangers, since they returned from their 5-day break. Colorado scoring goals. I think the over here is another game where you got to give it some consideration. Although Colorado has, for the most part, been pretty good lately at the defensive end of the ice. So I hold back on that, and it is a 6. It's an even 6 across the board. So that's just a lean for me. My official play here is Colorado. I'm riding this team. They've won 8 in a row. They've done their best work all season long at the Pepsi Center. 17-8 on home ice this season in 25 home games. Rangers road record 7-11. That's not very good. I think you've got a good home team, a bad road team, a good team in good form. Rangers, I don't trust them. And Kevin Shattenkirk out now with a long-term injury for this team, 4 to 6 weeks. He's an overrated defenseman. I think people are sort of going too overboard about how much they're going to miss him. They're going to miss him, but they're not going to miss him in terms of defensively. I think he's a little bit of a liability there. He's a good puck mover, good power play guy. Offensively, gives you some good things, a decent shot from the point, but defensively in his own zone, the guy can be an absolute travesty at times. So I don't think that's a big deal. Let's go with Colorado. The over's a lean for me as well. But again, the Colorado team defensively and Bernier's played pretty solid. So that's the concern here for me in this game. I like the Colorado side a lot more. -118 Heritage Sports is the best price available. That's the one we'll go with. I'm on Colorado there in that game. See if they can make it 9 in a row against the Rangers, who, again, are very inconsistent and have not played well on the road this season. We got the next game. But the next game is a fantastic hockey game. I can't wait for this. It's the first game of the triple header for Hockey Day in Canada, a very special day in this country, the annual Hockey Day in Canada celebration, where they have basically programming from like 1 o'clock in the afternoon right to like 1 a.m. when the last late night game wraps up. They do stories from the community, where they always host Hockey Day in Canada every year, and how hockey's impacted that town or that city, that community, and how the people in that community and town rally around the sport and celebrate it. And then they have live performances. They get people to go down there where they do the live broadcasting for Hockey Day in Canada. So it's always a fun event. Today is the annual Hockey Day in Canada on CBC event, and every Hockey Day in Canada, they have a triple header, including an afternoon game, and this is that first game of that triple header, the afternoon game. It's a good one. You've got Winnipeg, Calgary 7-8 on the rotation. Calgary -125 to -130. Home favorite, the total 5.5 in this game. Two great teams, or two teams that have been playing very good hockey, especially lately. I mean, the break came at an absolutely horrible time, and that's something to keep in mind. Both of these teams coming off their 5-day break here, so no advantage either way in terms of the trend or the angle that I speak of in terms of the break. Both of these teams coming off the break, so no advantage either way. But Calgary, the break came at a horrible time. I mean, this team was firing on all cylinders, absolutely rolling. That is a concern for me going into this game here today. I mean, when you're a team that's absolutely confident, you're scoring goals, and all the big guns on this Calgary team were scoring prior to the break during their winning streak. You saw Johnny Hockey lighting it up. Sean Monahan was lighting it up. Even Jankowski, a Hamilton boy, Mark Jankowski's even lit it up offensively lately for the Calgary Flames going into their break. So they played great hockey. 7 wins in a row for them going into that break. Again, all their top players were producing for them offensively, but you do get concerned that the break throws off that momentum and stems the tide a little bit. That's my one concern, but I'm very still even with that said, very reluctant to step in front of the Calgary Flames right now. I'm worried the break maybe, shakes some of their chemistry, rhythm of that 7-game win streak, but I'm still a little reluctant to go against them. But at the same time, Winnipeg, what a story they were in the first half of the season. 26 wins, 25 for Calgary. Two of the teams that in the Western Conference that certainly have a good chance to make the postseason, as far as I'm concerned. Winnipeg didn't play great their last 2 games before their break. They lost at Chicago and Minnesota, getting outscored 6-2 in those games. Lost 2-1 at Chicago, 4-1 at Minnesota. Their offense sort of disappeared a little bit, and that is a little bit of a concern moving forward. I mean, they kept scoring goals for a while there without Mark Scheifele, but at some point, you lose one of your top center icemen for extended period of time, it's going to show up. Can the Jets keep this offensive train of theirs that they've had for most of the season going without Mark Scheifele? That's the key. You need more from Patrick Laine. You need more from Brian Little. You need more from Blake Wheeler. You need more from guys like that offensively moving forward to make up for that. They sort of had that offense held down the last 2 games before their break. We'll see if it can come back to life here in this game. I'm probably going to stay off this game because I don't have a strong feel side-wise. Totals-wise, it's a little tricky. Let me see what the total trends are in terms of teams with extended rest. That's always something I like because I find that's a good indication with both of these teams, in fact, off such a long extended break. How they play with extended time off really goes a long way to determining, do they play sloppy hockey or do they play more tighter, lower scoring defensive hockey. And in terms of these two teams, well, you got Winnipeg 3-1 to the over this season on 3 days of rest or more, and you've got Calgary 4-2 to the under 3 days of rest or more. So you've got conflicting totals trends there with Winnipeg and Calgary playing with extended rest. So totals wise too, I'll probably stay out of this game. But it's one of the games actually, even though I'm not going to have a bet on it before puck drop, it's one of the games I'm absolutely most excited to watch today. It should be a good one. Jets and Flames this afternoon. Andrew McGinnis is involved with this game too in Calgary this afternoon with a play on it. Andrew, what are you looking at? Should be a good game here.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the games of the night, Ian. And looking at this right now, like you mentioned, Winnipeg. They haven't played a game since January 13th. That was against Minnesota, a 4-1 loss. And they're also coming off a loss from Chicago. So I think they had a good reason to want to go into that break, and the break came in good time for them. And looking at Calgary, like you said, maybe not the best time, as we see a lot of wins there for them right before that break. So whether you want to call it rest or whether you want to kind of call it throwing off the chemistry, it's kind of your pick. But in my opinion, like you said, Ian, I'm kind of worried about them coming back, especially as a young team. I'm worried about the way they're going to play, the way they're going to respond. And I really just kind of think that they're going to be a complete different team. And in my opinion, I genuinely think this Winnipeg Jets team is a far better team when it's a low scoring game. When they're not in track meet style games, they're playing a full hockey game. They're committed to the entire game. They're not just doing good in the power play. They're not just having those kind of shifty breakaways and just using their skill. They're playing a complete hockey game. And I think tonight that's exactly what we're going to get. Ian saying this is one of the best best games of the night, and he's looking forward to watching it. I am too, because I know it's going to be a close game. This is why I'm taking the under in this one, actually. I know it's two young teams, two explosive teams that can put the puck in the back of the net, but I think sometimes when you've got two competitive teams that clash and two competitive teams that can score high, you could look towards see the under. And we're also going to have two pretty hot goaltenders as well clashing together. So just looking at a couple of these stats here, the total's gone under in 5 Winnipeg's last 7 games. More importantly, though, 4 of their last 5 games on the road and 5 of the last 7 when playing Calgary in general have gone under. And these two teams right now, they're both putting up around 30 shots, both hovering around Calgary 2.9 goals per game, Winnipeg 3.3. But I just think that, again, if Winnipeg wants to be taken seriously, they can't just allow teams to come back all the time, and they can't allow themselves to be up 4-2 and games end up being 5-4 and stuff like that. So this is a big test for me. This is an interesting game. I'm really thinking it's going to go over. It's going to be a rather low scoring and unusual type style game for these two teams. Calgary's not used to playing in these teams, Ian, and I think they have to get used to it if they want to be taken seriously in this league, in the NHL, and they want to have any chance over the next couple of years. This is almost going to be a key matchup game for the Winnipeg Jets Sorry, against the Winnipeg Jets for them, and which is why it really makes me lean towards the under.
All right, under 5.5. Yeah, I mean, it could be one of those games. It's very tricky to tell, but there's again with these two teams. I mean, I think you might have more of a. You could very well have more of a playoff field. No question about that. It's been a good, like I say, the problem is for Calgary, they're feeling it, and a lot of the reason why they won all those games is their offense was as in good a form as it's been at any point this season. They scored 3 goals or more in every win during that 7-game winning streak. And sometimes, again, when the wins are rolling like that, you have the extended break. All the things that led you to that 7-game win streak sort of fall off the cliff a little bit that first game or two out of the break. So that's why Calgary might struggle to win this game. That's why Calgary might not have that same offensive flow that they had prior to the break. So all things that I worry about. It's the same thing I think about in the NFL when it comes to bye weeks. When a team's rolling into that bye week and they come out of it, kind of want to bet against them because I think the momentum's been killed, the rhythm's been thrown off. And then you've got on the other side of the coin, teams that go into their bye week struggling and reeling and not playing well at all. Well, they use the bye week to practice, get, mentally refocused, tweak some things, make some adjustments, and then they come out of their bye week playing much better. And I like to bet on those kind of teams. So kind of like that in the NHL with these extended breaks. I'm very reluctant to bet on the team that was playing great, that was just absolutely clicking going into a break. And that's the case here with Calgary. Even though, I'm not in love with Winnipeg here in this particular spot, that's enough to keep me off Calgary here in that game. We've got Toronto, Ottawa, 9-10 on the rotation. That's a good game, by the way. Can't wait. Toronto, Ottawa. Toronto minus 135 on the road. Total 6 shaded to the under. There is 1.5.5 out there at Heritage Sports, minus 118. If you like the over, find it at Heritage Sports because there's a 5.5 out there with that one. To me, I'm never fond of laying mid-sized road chalk. I really am not. But to me, this has to be the spot for Toronto. But bounce out of this funk of theirs. I think they can. I think they will. It was one bad period the other night that did them in. That's been a problem lately with Toronto. The 60-minute effort has not necessarily been there consistently during this losing streak they've been on. But I think after Frederik Andersen makes a little the headlines after that loss to Philadelphia, saying, "My guys in front of me got to be better. They're not helping me out well enough." That's the kind of comment that I think could finally get these Leaf players heads on straight and say to yourself, we got to stop blowing leads. We've got to stop turning the puck over in front of our own goaltender, and that's happened far too much. They've been hemmed in their own zone for a lot of these games lately, especially the Philadelphia third period. I mean, how many times did we see shifts where Toronto had opportunities multiple times to clear the puck out and they could not? That stuff like that has to change for this team. To be honest with you, Toronto, even though they've been on this 4-game losing streak, could easily have been a 4-game winning streak. Everybody's saying that the sky is falling for Toronto. Well, look at the losses. There's really, you were there. The win was there in your grasp, in the palm of your hands. 3-2 overtime loss to Columbus, 4-3 home loss to Ottawa, and you outshot Ottawa 48-32 in that game. It was just one of those games you couldn't finish around the net. And that's been a concern. Toronto's offense is not right now what it was early in the season. St. Louis, 2-1 overtime loss. Philadelphia, 3-2 overtime loss when you had a 2-0 lead after 40 minutes. They've been right there in every single game and have not closed the deal. I say they close the deal tonight because I don't trust this Ottawa team. Feeble effort the other night, 4-1 loss to St. Louis. Everybody loved St. Louis. Everybody on this show loved St. Louis. Everybody on Twitter loved St. Louis. Everybody and his brother loved the St. Louis Blues the other night against Ottawa. I was worried about that. That always worries me when everybody loves a certain side, but didn't matter that night. St. Louis was able to get it done 4-1. Again, Ottawa knows the writing is on the wall. This team's not going anywhere. They're not making any sort of push back into the playoff picture. They're a seller at the deadline. You got guys wondering, Phaneuf, even Carlson, there's been trade rumors floating around with him. Guys like that wondering if they'll even be in an Ottawa Senators jersey post-trade deadline. That's not exactly a bet-on situation to me, especially when you got a lot of veterans on this team and you suddenly see that, hey, we're going to be looking to maybe sell at the deadline. That tells you that you just worry about the effort level. Problem with Toronto, one problem is they've had a nightmare time against Ottawa. 0-4 last 4 meetings against Ottawa. 1-6 their last 7 trips to Ottawa. I mean, it has all of a sudden been a Senator-dominated head-to-head series, but I don't like anything I'm seeing from Ottawa, the body language. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they're selling at the deadline. Toronto, after so many near misses, I think this is their spot. It has to be. And it's a short turnaround revenge as well after losing 4-3 at home to Ottawa the other night or a week or so ago in a game they should have won because they controlled the play against Ottawa, just couldn't finish. I'll lay the minus 135 here with Toronto in this game tonight. Andrew McGinnis also involved in the Leafs and Sens matchup. We were both on St. Louis again. I'm on the Fade Ottawa train tonight. Are you joining me, or are you looking at the total?
I'll happily join you, Ian. I'm not really ever going to be too shy of fading away from these Ottawa Senators, but I'm more into the over. Kind of a good totals day for me. I'm looking at a lot of totals today, and look, in the last 10 games, the over has gone 7-3 between these two teams. And believe it or not, I know 10 games is a big scale, but believe it or not, the Ottawa Senators are averaging 4.4 goals in that span on just 30 shots per game. So look, there has to be something. In my opinion, everyone here knows I'm a Habs fan. Everyone thinks that the Habs and the Leafs are the big rivalry. I really disagree. I think it's the Habs and the Bruins and the Leafs and the Senators. This is a big rivalry for me. This is a big game. Battle of Ontario, as we call it in Canada. And whether people want to believe it or not, Dana always says this as well. And I think that there's certain games that certain players just get out of bed a little bit more excited for and they're a little bit more ready for, and they have that sort of marked on their calendar, and they know what's going on. And I think for me, this game, Ottawa or Toronto, especially Ottawa as an entirely weaker team, this game against Toronto is a lot more important to them as it would have been, a game against Dallas or even a game against Vancouver on the West Coast. So I think that that kind of brings energy. It brings a lot of risk taking. It brings a lot of explosiveness on offense, and I think it makes players try new things. And I think everyone's going to be fired up for this game. So look, Toronto, they actually haven't been trending towards the over too much in their last couple of games. Their last over that has hit was their last game against the Ottawa Senators, actually, and 4-3 loss. But 5 of the last 6 games when playing Ottawa have gone over the total, and 7 of Toronto's last 8 games when playing on the road against Ottawa have gone over. So look, I think I've been saying this for a while, and I'm still going to roll with it. As shitty of a team that the Senators are, Ian, and we all know that sometimes they can't even, get a beach ball in the ocean with a hockey stick. But sometimes they can score a couple early goals, and then their crappy and terrible defense can help us fly that total over. And I think that's what's going to happen tonight. I think the Leafs are due for a big game tonight. I'm on your side. I think the Leafs will take care of business easily tonight, and they'll get some revenge here on this Senators team. But I think it'll be a really high-scoring game, possibly like a 5-3, 5-2 sort of game for the Leafs. I even recommend taking a team total over for this Leafs team. I just don't think it'll be a good night for the Senators, and I don't think there's really a bright future for them either, Ian. So we'll see if we can continue to fade them.
All right, so over for Andrew in this game, Toronto and Ottawa tonight. Battle of Ontario renewed again. This is a second of the games here, the Hockey Day in Canada, triple header. Should be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yeah, I think you got to be a little concerned for the Leafs if they don't win tonight. But I think everyone's talking about the Anderson comments. I don't think it's a negative. That maybe he shouldn't have said it in public, but I think it had to be said. I mean, there's been times this season where the play in front of him's not been good enough, and he's battled through it and stolen games and 40 some saves. I think it was time to mention something that you need better, stronger play without the puck, especially from these two youngsters, William Nylander and Mitch Marner. I've seen them make a ton of gaffes this week in terms of play without the puck. Bad back checking angles, just not enough good decision making. Just not defensively aware. I mean, obviously we know they're offensive-minded players to begin with, but you just got to have better awareness than that. If you're you need everybody, all hands on deck, and everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. If you're going to be a big-time team in the playoffs, at both ends of the ice, you got to be doing that. So that is still something that Nylander and Marner in particular are trying to learn with this Leafs team. And Freddie Anderson, I think, was legitimate or justified in saying what he did. I mean, the guys in front of him do have to be better. They've hung him out to dry, especially lately, a bit too much. I think Toronto heeds those words. You get a good effort from them tonight, a strong one. and they take care of business here. So we'll lay the minus 135 with Toronto. Andrew on the over in this game. We got a bunch more to go. Carolina, Detroit, 11-12 on the rotation. Detroit minus 110, even money in that range. Total 5.5 shade to the under. And look, I don't ever like back in Detroit, but this is one of those games again where Carolina's off their break, Detroit is not, and that angle's 24-11. Not my favorite bet on the card. It's not even close to best bet status, but I am on Detroit in this game, minus 110. You got to like that angle and that situation. It has been doing very, very well again this season. It's 24-11 combined so far in the last 2 seasons combined since the NHL has done these mandatory 5-day breaks for every team. And that's Detroit that falls into this bet on spot here tonight against Carolina. And one thing about Carolina is very, very up and down. I mean, their goaltending to me is still a concern. I mean, you just don't know Ward and Darling what you're going to get from them night to night. It's been a little bit more of a recurring problem for them as the season has progressed. So that is something you're going to want to just monitor, just see how this Carolina goaltending progresses. Because you look at the 4 games that they lost, they went 1-4 last 5 games before their break, and they gave up 4 goals or more in every loss. And again, that speaks to the goaltending being a little bit subpar. It's actually a pretty solid defensive team. They're not bad penalty killing, but goaltending is a little bit of a sore spot for this Carolina team. Detroit, obviously, we're not talking about a great Detroit team. They're very, very maddening, very inconsistent. 1-3 in their last 4 games. The win was against Chicago on the road, 4-0. But the other 3 losses, I mean, even though they lost those games, good teams at least. They're losing to good teams. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Dallas. No shame in losing any of those games whatsoever for this Detroit team. And again, the scheduling advantage certainly in their favor here with Calgary off their extended break as they are here. So I'm going to go ahead and Detroit. I'm not going to ask Detroit to win me a lot of games and a lot of bets, but I think it adds up pretty well for them here in this game tonight. We'll look toward Detroit at the even money price, and it is worth noting, Detroit 3-3, 3 days rest or more. Carolina 2-2, but this is even more than 3 days rest for Carolina. That 5-day break, a little bit of an issue for them. So, and also Carolina 3-8-1, last 12 meetings, last 12 trips to Detroit. So long-term struggles for Carolina here in Detroit. So we'll look at the Red Wings there, minus 110. Take advantage of that 24-11 angle that is on their side and points toward them in that hockey game. Boston, Montreal, 13-14. No line or side or total yet for this game. These 2 teams are going to get sick of each other. This is the 3rd time they've met in 8 days. It's absolutely remarkable how much that they go October till mid-January without a single head-to-head game as division rivals, and now they're playing 3 games in 8 days. That is the situation here for Boston, Montreal, and Boston's a very good win for them the other night against Montreal. Very impressive win, no question about that. Boston playing good hockey. What can you say? I mean, there's no doubt about it. This team playing very, very well. Give Montreal credit though. Nice win for them last night, 3-1 against Washington with Niemi in net. Of all people, too. And they're still able to get that win against the Washington Capitals. Again, kept Washington off the scoreboard, which is what Montreal has to do to win. They're not consistent offensively, but they got the job done last night with a nice win against the Washington Capitals. This is one of the games that I'm probably not going to be involved in. I will not fade Boston right now. They're playing very, very good hockey. Excellent hockey, in fact, in all phases. They're scoring goals. Their big guns are showing up. Bergeron and Marchand. And Danton Heinen's been a good offensive force for them. They're getting healthier on the back end. Adam McQuaid just recently returned to this team on the blue line. So there's a lot of things to like about Boston right now. Montreal on the second night of back-to-backs heading into this game as well after playing against Washington last night. That's a little bit of a concern. I'll probably lean a bit to Boston, but I'm going to have to see a price before I actually give that as an official player recommendation. We don't have that currently as of yet, but should be a good game between these 2 teams. Their 3rd game in about a week span, and it's not one of Andrew's games, but he's a Habs fan, and we got some time on our hands. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts here about your Habs tonight, hosting the Bruins for the 3rd time in like barely a week?
Yeah, well, a week ago today, we had the Bruins visiting the Habs at the Bell Center, and it was 4-3. Ended up going to a shootout. Real exciting game. I thought the Habs actually looked pretty good in the game. They were coming off their bye, a little break there, and they were looking like a new team for maybe about 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the hockey game, and all of a sudden now they're back to being their old self. And that game, I had a read on the over, ended up getting that one. The next game, January 17th, I liked Boston on the puck line. Didn't look as good, but it still hit. It was 4-1. And this game, I'm leaning towards the under. For one reason and one reason only, I think that Montreal is going to have to start narrowing down and realizing that these are the kind of games that they have to win and how can I have to learn how to win. They don't have a team. They don't have that kind of squad right now to be winning these 5-4, 6-5 kind of games. Let's face it, they have to win those low scoring games. Uh, Carey Price has dominated Tuukka Rask for the most part when he's been out there. I think at home right now, this has to be a big blanket statement for these two teams right now. The Habs have to prove they can shut Boston down. If they can put up goals, good for them. That's not going to prove anything to anybody right now. If they can actually put up, a solid effort, maybe only make the Bruins get 2, maybe 3 goals, that'll give themselves a chance. But looking at this team right now, it's just hard. The over trends a lot between these two teams. For some reason, Boston and Montreal both, the penalties are really high between these two series. I expect tonight's game to be a very chippy game, which does worry me with the power plays. But I think, look, it'll be a very back and forth game. Like you said, these teams are going to be sick of each other. And I think that when teams are really sick of each other and they're kind of, pissed off with playing the same teams all the time, they're used to, the same thing. They're playing the same two teams. I think it kind of drags the game out. In my opinion, this will be a rather boring game in comparison to the last 2 games, just strictly because it's been the same stuff. It'll be the same 2 teams. Look, Ian, me and you both know how much better of a hockey club Boston is right now, how much more we should be taking them seriously than the Habs. But when it comes down to it, they have to play a hockey game. So I don't really think that Boston puck line will be the best play tonight. You probably wouldn't be getting too much value. And at home and the way the Habs are playing right now, it's kind of a sketchy pick. But for me, I'm going to take a little shot here with the under guys on this play. Just simply, I think these two teams are just not really going to be too fired up for this one. They're kind of sick of playing each other, and the Habs have to keep things low if they want to have any chance of winning big key games like this against the Bruins. So under is a slight lean for me, Ian.
All right, we got a slight lean under the total for Andrew in that Bruins-Habs game. Pittsburgh, San Jose, 15-16 on the rotation. San Jose -115, -120. Slight home favorites, total 5.5. I've been impressed with Pittsburgh lately, playing good hockey. What are they, 4-1 in their last 5 games overall? Tough 5-3 loss to Anaheim. They were guilty of giving the puck away a little bit there, but bounced back with a 3-1 win in LA. Playing good. 3rd game in California now in 4 nights. That's a little bit of a concern for me here, but Pittsburgh 4-0 in their last 4 in this situation, believe it or not. In terms of 3rd game in 4 nights, they're 4-0. The 3rd game of that 3 games in 4 nights situation. They're 4-0 the last 4 times they've been in this spot. So that's definitely in Pittsburgh's favor. To me, and I was against San Jose the other night, 5-3 loss at Colorado. When I get San Jose in one of these scheduling swatches here, where they're playing a bunch of games in a short period of time, I prefer to bet against this San Jose team because I feel this is a team that doesn't react to those well. It's an older team. They don't have the foot speed that some other teams in the league do, top to bottom. This is not one of the fastest teams. They don't roll 4 lines out there with blazing speed. That's not San Jose's game. It's a harder, heavier, just forecheck, grind it out, battle for loose pucks along the boards kind of team. That's really what San Jose is all about. So when they're playing all these games in a short period of time, I find their quality of play and their level of execution dips just a little bit. And I think we saw that the other night against Colorado. They got off to a very slow start. They poured it on late and actually for extended stretches took the play to Colorado, but can't fall behind 4-0, spot a team 4 goals and expect to win those kind of games on the road, and made a valiant effort to try to come back, but still fell short, 5-3 in that game. So you got San Jose playing last Saturday at home against Arizona. Then they played a Monday afternoon game in LA. Then they played Tuesday night in Arizona, Thursday night in the altitude of Colorado. Now they're back home facing Pittsburgh, all with travel too. All of these games. So it's a little bit of a tricky spot. We're talking now about a team that is playing their 5th game in an 8-night span. 5th game in 8 nights for this San Jose team. That's tricky. That's not easy. That's taxing on you a little bit. So I think from a spot perspective, it doesn't sit too badly for Pittsburgh here in this game. I think it works out pretty well for them. I mean, it is third and four nights for them, but again, they're 4-0 the last four tries in this situation. And really, the back-to-back that they had LA to Anaheim, or I should say Anaheim to LA, they stayed in the same hotel. They didn't have to travel at all. All it is a bus ride down the highway to get from Anaheim to LA. I mean, so there's no strenuous travel involved there. It's almost like they didn't play a back-to-back, to be honest with you, those two games. So, and then there's just a little short flight from Los Angeles to Northern California to the Bay Area for this game. So I don't think this is a taxing spot physically for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And right now they're playing good hockey, and they've also played well against San Jose at Dad. Remember, beat them in the Stanley Cup final a few years ago. In terms of the last several meetings, Pittsburgh 4-1, last 5 meetings in San Jose against this Sharks team. So they've actually fared well here in the tank. I think they'll fare well here. I'll get Pittsburgh here plus 100 in this game. I like the Penguins side there to get the job done. 4-1 their last 5 games playing good hockey. And I think it can continue 5-1, I should say, their last 6 games playing good hockey, and I think it can continue tonight. Arizona, St. Louis, 17-18 on the rotation. St. Louis heavy favorites as you'd expect, minus 220 to minus 230. The total 5.5 shaded to the under. Give Arizona a credit. Great battle the other night against Nashville, but like so many Arizona games, can't close the deal, can't get the job done. Competitive in defeat, a lot like Buffalo. These two teams mirror images of one another, the worst teams in each conference. Really is amazing. I don't have much on this game. It's probably going to stay under the total. I don't trust Arizona to do anything against this St. Louis team that has really recommitted themselves at the defensive end of the ice in 2 games after their break. Shut down Toronto in an overtime win, completely shut down Ottawa in their last game in a 4-1 win. They're playing good defensively again, and they're riding Carter Hutton. Jake Allen's the forgotten guy in net for this St. Louis team right now. Carter Hutton's been the guy. He's been very solid, very steady in between the pipes for the Blues. Wouldn't surprise me to see him in net once again here. So, again, I'm not making any case for Arizona, but again, it's too much of a price delay with St. Louis. They'll probably win the game, but I'm not laying north of minus 200 to find that out. Also a lean probably to the under in that game. Florida, Nashville, 19-20 on the rotation. No line here. It's a back-to-back spot for Florida after overtime win for them against Vegas. One of the few teams, Florida, to actually buck that 24-11 trend. They're one of the 11 that was able to beat the team that was playing their normal schedule when coming off a 5-day break. Florida was off their 5-day break last night and got the job done. 4-3 against Vegas in overtime. Give them credit for that. Now they're on a back-to-back here against Nashville. James Reimer was in net last night. I'm hearing it could be the Finn, Harry Sateri. Love that name. We might see him in net tonight for the Florida Panthers in between the pipes. So we'll have to, again, keep an eye on that. If you're going to get involved, you want to know who's going to be in net. But I believe the boogeyman, Bob Bugner, sort of hinted at the fact that we might see Sateri in between the pipes tonight for the Florida Panthers. That is a great name, Harry Sateri. Love it. And for Nashville, it'll probably be Pecorine, I believe. I would expect that. UC Saros, of course, had that spectacular game against Vegas earlier this week, but I think you'll get Rene in that. Again, no opinion here. I don't want Florida on the second night of. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just saying, Saros looked good in net the other night. He was impressive.
He was excellent. Stole that game really for Nashville against Vegas. I think he should get some more starts than he does. I know Peter Laviolette's very, very trustworthy of Rene. Gives him a lot of starts, a lot of leeway to be in the net early and often. But I think Saros definitely should get some starts. I'm not going to be involved in this game. Again, I don't want Florida off a win. I don't trust. And again, on the road, Florida's been a nightmare. Florida's been capable at times at home in terms of winning hockey games. The road's not been kind to them, not whatsoever. I don't trust them to step up in class well here on the second night of back-to-back games against this Nashville team. It would be Nashville maybe in a puck line bet because they'll be a heavy favorite here, but maybe Nashville puck line, something you look at here if you're looking for value. But for me, it's definitely not a side I'll be looking at Florida. That is for sure. Next game, Islanders, Chicago, 21-22. Chicago minus 155, home favorite. Very heavy price on this Chicago team. Total 6.5, shaded to the over, and I'm going to grab the New York Islanders here at plus 135. Again, Chicago falls into that first game after their break trend. which is 24-11 facing this Islanders team. So again, that trend says bet the Islanders here. Again, do I love putting my money right now on an Islanders team that's not exactly playing great hockey lately? No, but you're getting a good price. Chicago's still one of those teams that really, I mean, they've also been inconsistent. They're essentially a 500 hockey team. We're going to trust them laying this kind of price, not me. So I'm going to look at the New York Islanders here. I think just betting against Chicago in this price range off the 5-day break against a team that's not off the break. And again, those games are 24-11. That's enough of a reason alone right there to back this New York Islanders team as an underdog in this game. So that is what I'll be looking at here. New York Islanders. And how about another over as well with the Islanders? It is an Islanders game. They find a way to get over the total. They were 6.5 over the total against Boston the other night. Yeah, they needed a Boston empty net goal late to get it over the total. It ended 5-2, but it still got there. Still ended up going over the total, and it's even at 6.5, you're starting to finally see adjustments. I'm definitely more tepid now with just riding the New York Islanders overtrain game after game after game. We're starting to finally. It only took 2 months. Bravo, guys. It only took you 2 months to make a little bit of an adjustment here on some of these Islander totals, but finally you're doing that. We're seeing now 6.5 totals back-to-back games involving the New York Islanders. So I will be on the Islanders over one more time. Small, though, not as big as I usually am with that. And definitely a good-sized opinion on the Islanders here. I think it's a good spot for them here. They've lost 2 in a row to Jersey and Boston at home. Again, this team also banged up a little bit. Casey Cizikas, Andrew Ladd, Johnny Boychuk, Calvin DeHaan, Nikolai Kulemin, all out of the lineup for this Islanders team. But again, with Chicago, we got Corey Crawford out of there. You don't know what you're going to get night in, night out from the Anton Forsberg, Jeff Glass combination in between the pipes. So that's a concern. Anisimov may not play in this game. So to me, it's just a big-time risk, in my opinion, off this kind of break where teams have struggled to lay minus 155 like you're being asked to lay with Chicago. So I'm on New York here, plus 135 with the Islanders, and also over 6.5 side and total wagers for me in that game between the Islanders and Blackhawks. We got Tampa Bay, Minnesota, 23-24 on the rotation. Tampa Bay minus 115, road favorite, total 5.5 across the board. This is definitely getting best bet consideration for me. This game, Tampa Bay minus 115. Again, we've got a spot where we've got a team off the 5-day break, Minnesota, facing a team that is not off the break. Again, that's 24-11 angle in Tampa Bay's favor here in this game. Not only that, but they had a horrible game off their own break against Vegas on Thursday night, 4-1. Didn't play well. Closed-door meeting after that game. Steven Stamkos addressing his team as the captain, saying it wasn't good enough. We got to be better. I wasn't good enough. He took accountability for that, and I respect that about Stamkos, saying I had to be better. There's a -3 in that game from a plus-minus standpoint. That tells you all you need to know. That was not one of Stamkos' better hockey games. I think you see him lead this team by example tonight and a bounce-back spot here against Minnesota. Again, these teams off the break. We know they've struggled when facing teams on their regular schedule. That's the spot here. Tampa Bay off a loss. I'm always interested. These elite teams, when they're off a bad game and a bad performance, more often than not, they bounce back. Tampa Bay's got a pretty solid record in games following a single defeat this season. I think you get them bouncing back, led by Steven Stamkos. Kucherov didn't even play that well the other night. I think he'll play better. Vasilevsky in net, yeah, maybe not one of his better games. There's a couple seeing eye shots that got through him in that loss to the Golden Knights the other night. So I think you get a better game out of him. Just collectively, I think you see Tampa Bay's A game. After the captain addresses the team in a closed-door meeting, I'd expect an elite team, a team that I think gets out of the Eastern Conference this season, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, to show up tonight, and I think they will. You can get minus 111 on the Tampa Bay side at Heritage. For those of you outside the U.S., minus 108 even with Tampa at Pinnacle. But even in the minus 115 range, I think that's a very, very solid and sound price with Tampa Bay tonight here in this game. Really good spot. Like the fact that I think you're going to get max focus, max intensity after the loss, after the team addressed that loss, and Steven Stamkos addressed his team as the captain after that loss. So I'm going to look toward Tampa Bay there for sure. One of my favorite bets on this card is Tampa Bay, minus 115 is the consensus line on that one. Vancouver, Edmonton, 25-26. How about Edmonton laying a massive price, minus 175 at home, total 5.5, shaded to the under. Boy, Edmonton laying a big-time number here. even though it's been obviously one of the most disappointing stories in the NHL this season so far, without a doubt, through the midway mark, has been the play of these Edmonton Oilers. It's just been a massive disappointment for a team that's been prognosticated before the season, ballyhooed as a Western Conference contender, as a Stanley Cup contender, and really it has just not played out that way for the Edmonton Oilers this season. Now, they did win 2 in a row before their break. Positive signs, no question. Tough loss at Nashville, 2-1 in a game they didn't play too badly in. So the last 3 games before Edmonton's break weren't too bad. But it's still going to have to string a lot more than just 2 wins in a row together against Arizona and Vegas to prove that they can sort of get back into the mix here in this playoff chase in the West. And it's going to be made even more complicated with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins now out long term. The Nuge, we say adios to the Nuge. He's going to be out for a while for this Edmonton Oilers team. Now, he's been up and down a little bit as well this season, but, he still got you 31 points in 46 games this season for the Oilers, and he's still one of the guys that's relied upon offensively for this team. And that's a concern because one of the disappointments for Edmonton has been their offense, and it's just not been they've just not been the offensive machine that people expected from them. Their secondary depth has not been there. I mean, we've gone over this time and time again with the Oilers that when you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, it's been tough to find other guys to step up when you clamp down on those 2 guys. I mean, after McDavid's 52 points, Draisaitl's 36 points, Nugent-Hopkins in his 31 points. After that, nobody else has more than 30 points on this team through 40-plus games. You got Lucic and Maroon at 28 and 24 points respectively, and then after that, everybody else is in the teens and worse in terms of points this season. So there's just not a lot of offensive depth for the Edmonton Oilers, certainly nowhere near the amount that you expected. We'll see how they fare off the break, and again, nice little run before the break, but can you get it going again after the break? That's the question for Edmonton. Vancouver, another team that also won their last 2 games before the break. Impressive wins, too, for Vancouver. Ended that 5-game road trip with wins at Columbus and Minnesota. Very good job by this Vancouver team. Travis Green has the work ethic instilled in this team. They're a tough out on a nightly basis. They're not an easy team to beat. They give you an honest effort. Even Thomas Vanek's played better lately, contributed offensively. The Sedins are scoring. We know Brock Besser, definitely the clear-cut runaway favorite right now to win the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. He's been sensational, Brock Besser. And don't look now, but Bo Horvat's closing in on a return. He's not going to be back tonight, but Bo Horvat's going to apparently about to start skating again, so that's good news. No doubt about it for the Vancouver Canucks moving forward. Every little bit of help they can get offensively is going to help them. In terms of these teams' trends in terms of 3 days rest or more, maybe a slight edge to Vancouver. Vancouver's 2-2 this season, 3 days rest or more. Edmonton just 1-4 in 5 games playing with 3 or more days of rest. So they have not been good with extended rest, Edmonton. So I've got to put a little flyer. It's going to be a small flyer, small, entertainment, pizza money kind of bet for me. But I'll put something on Vancouver here. Those were 2 nice road wins for them. They're getting a real nice price here, plus 155, worth a small little shot in the dark here, in my opinion, on the Vancouver Canucks at a very tantalizing plus 155 price tag. It's the last game. It's a Hockey Day in Canada game, Andrew. So let's get my fellow Canadian to give his thoughts here on this game. Anything at all interest you in this game, Canucks and Oilers, to wrap up Hockey Day in Canada?
You know what? Sometimes these late games where it's a competitive matchup, these 2 teams, Vancouver kind of cemented themselves as a team that can go over the total. I think Edmonton trying to start to get themselves back on track here. I think they could go over the total as well. So, like you mentioned, they've had some guys struggling. It's not just McDavid and supporting cast. It's just and the entire team has to work together and has to flow together. I didn't really see that in the first half of the season whatsoever. But it's something about these late games, the last day here, the last game of Hockey Day in Canada. I think it should be an exciting game to watch. It'll probably be one that I'll be parking down on the couch to watch here later on tonight. And I think we should see some goals in that one. Maybe even a first period over 1.5 goals. I'll make that an official play, Ian. Over 1.5 goals in the first period, Vancouver Edmonton.
I think Vancouver was actually trending first period overs heavily on that road trip that wrapped up before their break. I think they were a pretty good first period over team. So that is something to look at and something to consider, and we'll see if that carries over now to after their break. Remember, both of these teams coming off their 5-day break, so no advantage either way. Although, like I said, at least Vancouver's 2-2 after the 3-day or more break. Edmonton's 1-4, so it's been really poor for Edmonton when they've had extended rest. So that's why I'm giving Vancouver a small shot tonight as a big dog in this game. And that's going to wrap up the card. Huge card. We got through it in just a little less than an hour. Pretty impressive stuff. I just want to pass along. We're going to best bets now. Alex B. Smith, not on the show. He did send me along a best bet. It's Tampa Bay, minus 115. That is his best bet. Totally agree with it. One of my favorite plays on the card. I'm actually going to use something else for best bet, but definitely Tampa was on the short list in terms of best bet consideration. So Alex B. Smith is on Tampa Bay minus 115. That is his best bet for this Saturday card. I did not get one sent to me from Dana Lane, so unfortunately we'll have to go without one from him. But Alex is on Tampa. Andrew's got a best bet right now for us as well. Andrew, what are you looking at for best bet tonight?
Look, guys, I'm taking a shot here with the under in Winnipeg versus Calgary. It's a 3 p.m. Eastern game. The under trends against Calgary. Five of the last seven have gone under. And again, like I said, these two teams, Winnipeg hasn't played a game, hasn't played an actual NHL competitive full speed game since January 13th. Calgary hasn't played since January 14th. And I don't think that it means going to be sloppiness. I don't think it'll be easy goals. I think it'll be struggling to find the back of the net, maybe missing tap-ins you wouldn't usually miss. I think stuff like that will be occurring. And these are two competitive teams, two skilled teams. It'll be a lot of neutral ice time. It'll be a lot of time spent behind the net. And I think the first period will be pretty dry as well. So we're going to go under 5.5 for my best bet here.
All right, under 5.5, best bet for Andrew McGinnis, Winnipeg, Calgary, under 5.5, his best bet. I'm also going to a daytime early start afternoon game for my best bet, but it's a different one. We're going to lay the minus 118 at Heritage Sports with the Colorado Avalanche. They were good to me the other night against San Jose. This team's rolling. Nathan MacKinnon is leading this team by example on and off the ice. You can't stop the man offensively right now. He's doing an absolute tap dance on the NHL and on the opposition on a nightly basis, and I think that can continue against this Rangers team. I don't like this Rangers defense at all. They've not played great as of late. They're banged up. No Shattenkirk, no Mark Stahl on the blue line. Kevin Hayes, a forward that's capable of contributing offensively, also out for this game due to injury. That's a concern for me. Jonathan Bernier, say what you will. I've ripped on the guy in the past. He's feeling it right now. He's playing good hockey. You look at him during this recent run, he's given up 3 goals or less in practically every start. Colorado's won, what is it now, 8 straight games, 8-0 streak. They've been great on home ice, 17-8. You've got New York 7-11 on the road. That's not good. The Rangers have been porous on the road at times this year. An early start for a team traveling east to west. That's not good for the body clock either. I could go on and on with advantages for Colorado here, quite frankly, in this game. I really could. Oh, how about Colorado? 3-2 in day games this year. And we saw evidence they could win a day game at home earlier this week. Martin Luther King Day. They beat Anaheim on home ice, and a good win. A good win. They played great in that hockey game at both ends of the ice. That was an early day game on Monday at home. So is this one, and I think we see a similar result. Colorado wins their 9th in a row. Colorado minus 118, my best bet for the Ice Guys for this Saturday card. That's going to wrap up the show. Absolutely fantastic show, even with just Andrew and I. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Like I say, it's Saturday. It was the weekend. A lot of you guys, if you're working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 jobs, you get a chance to sleep in Saturday, but no, some of you choose to wake up with us and tune in live for the Ice Guys. We really do appreciate that. You're the reason why we do this show. Sportsbookreview.com is the reason why we're able to do this show. So make sure you check those guys out every day. Live odds, free picks, free articles, sportsbook rating guide. Check out the links below to all the SBR social media platforms. Give the show a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hopefully, we'll have everybody back in the saddle for Tuesday's show, including Alex and Dana. But again, Hockey Day in Canada coming up. Lots of good stuff. I'm back at the top of the hour with Big Man on Campus as we shift gears to college basketball and a massive Saturday hoops card. I'll be breaking that down at 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Man on Campus, college basketball closing line edition. So stay tuned for that. For Andrew McGinnis, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Saturday hockey card. We'll see you again on Tuesday.